game to be your first one.
Well, I can relate. My first Ohio State Michigan game was the 2002 game that came down to the interception by Will Allen on the final play. So I can relate to that.
Yeah, and a lot of the games really are close, and that's why it's a rivalry. But the insanity of it all was, I was there at like 5:30 in the morning. Game day started, I think, at like 6 or something, and there was a huge crowd there already. And I mean, you can feel the electricity in the air and all that. I had a great time. My only issue was I didn't prepare enough to wear like the right socks so my feet got cold.
Yeah, that's rule number one.
You know, and I mean, where the employees sit, where they're able to sit at, is not a very good area. That's, you know, I think that's part of the area that's going to be turned into the suites. But, you know, you're up in the northern, like above the north rotunda in the B section, and you can't really get a good picture of everything. So I'm sitting there, I'm getting cold, I'm getting cranky, the offense isn't moving. It's after halftime, and I'm like, I'm starting to picture myself in my car driving home in some warm, you know, a warm car listening to the radio. So I decided to go get something to eat. So I go down to Donato's, and they're out of pepperoni. I mean, this is after halftime, so I'm like, well, serves me right. So I went over to the South Stands where they have a Roosters. And if anybody ever goes to, you know, the shoe and they want some good food, go over to Roosters and get the basket that they have with the fries and whatnot. It's really good. So I get that, and that's right when the interception happens, right when Harbaugh has meltdown. And Chip, I swear to you, I thought the South Stands were going to come crashing down on us.
Well, I will say that he destroyed his headphones.
I thought the South Stands were going to get destroyed. Well. That place was, I mean, everybody underneath there just looked up like, holy crap. Well, we worked with Chris Hunt over there at the Buckeye Battle Cry. He's a supervisor and usher over there. So he texted me, asked me where I was at, and told me, I guess go stand over by where he's at. So I get over there, and everything starts just unfolding right in front of us. They came down, missed the field goal. Michigan gets the ball back, blah, blah, blah. Ohio State moves the ball again. You could see in that fourth quarter where Michigan was just defeated. They were, not defeated, but just burned out, tired. And it just the atmosphere and electricity of everything and the way that it was won, it was crazy. It was utterly insane. I mean, I think they had a seismograph or whatever you want to call it, or to see how much the stadium was shaking. It was equal to like a 6.0 earthquake almost. And I was asked, did you feel it? No, I was one of the idiots jumping up and down, celebrating with everybody else, hugging.
Well, that's great that you were able to experience not only the game but also such a memorable game.
Definitely, and that's what also brings me to kind of segue. That's why I wanted to give a little bit of detail. If anybody's listening and wants to become a Redcoat or an Usher, email me or hit me up on Twitter. My DMs are open, so you don't have to follow me. But hit me up on Twitter, and they're hiring for Redcoats and Ushers, and I think it's going to be this weekend. But hit me up or next weekend, I think, because I have to be down there this weekend for training. And I'll give you guys the information. It's great. It just to be part of the atmosphere, to be part of the whole thing. I mean, we're all fans, and it's a wonderful experience.
So to kind of steer back towards Big Ten Media Days, a separate thing that I'm glad more and more Big Ten member institutions are making their displeasure known. Big Ten Commissioner Jim Delaney was asked about the Big Ten's idea of playing games on Friday night, and multiple coaches were saying how Friday night is a sacred night for high school football. Mm-hmm. And Delaney even conceded that there's been a tremendous amount of pushback against the idea, and anyone could have told Delaney. I understand that this is all financially driven by the networks. I'm not completely ignorant of that fact. However, it should have been brought into much greater discussion and detail than the way that it was laid out. It's disappointing that Ohio State didn't take as firm a stand, in my estimation and opinion, like Penn State and Michigan have. But hopefully, as Jim Delaney said, that the Big Ten, they're going to work with executive directors of the high school associations within the Big Ten area to try to come to some kind of accommodations, because starting this year, I think, as a matter of fact, I want to say September 8th is one that comes to mind. I believe that Ohio U will be playing Purdue. So for some universities, playing on a Friday night's not a big deal. I just know, being Ohio born and bred, high school football is sacred. It doesn't matter, Cleveland area, Cincinnati area, Columbus area, Toledo. I'm not trying to leave anyone out intentionally, but throughout the entire state, high school football pretty much is a sacred thing, on a Friday night. So I thought that was a major miscalculation by Jim Delaney in the Big Ten.
Well, there's kind of a catch there too, because there's a lot of high school football games that have moved to Saturdays also. And
a lot of the Catholic high schools. That's correct.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right though. There has always been that tradition, and just Friday night is for high school. You sit down in high school, watch the games for the high school, go to them or whatnot. Saturday morning, you wake up before the college games, and whatever high school games that you were interested in that you didn't get to make or whatever, you're reading about it in the newspaper or nowadays looking at it online. Saturday is college football day, which that leads you, that whole day of college football then leads you into Sunday, where if you're a fan of the NFL or certain Ohio football teams, because some people are not like me anymore, which, we can discuss that at a later date.
Yeah.
But it's always been a tradition of Friday high school football, Saturday college football, Sunday the NFL. That's just, I don't understand why everything has to be messed with so much. There is something about the Midwest, Texas, Florida, that it just, the tradition needs to live on and stay what it is.
I agree. And my only answer, and this kind of allows for another segue, is, follow the money, and, kind of where the idea that this is definitely something that the networks are pushing, but I think they're making a mistake. The segue I was going to talk about, and this is with regards to Big Ten Media Days. Jim Delaney was asked about the recent lawsuit that Chris Spielman has brought against Ohio State. In the opinion of Jim Delaney, he believes that the lawsuit is going to get worked out. I think my feelings and admiration for Chris Spielman are very well known. I'm definitely on Chris Spielman's side. I'm of the opinion that the university, yes, that they have provided ample opportunity to the players with the scholarships and room and board and opportunities to advance to possibly onto the NFL and connections within the corporate world. Urban Meyer is to be highly commended for the Real Life Wednesdays. I know that you and Tony talked about it on Across the Field, and that's all fine and good. I'm 100% behind all that. I'm just of the opinion that the athletes, the idea that just because Chris Spielman was a legendary player for Ohio State 30 years ago does not entitle Ohio State to use his likeness in advertisements in perpetuity. That's basically what the crux of and the fact that Archie Griffin is jumping on board, who is probably the greatest ambassador Ohio State football has ever known in support, with Chris Spielman. I think that kind of speaks volumes about this lawsuit. So we'll see how that all kind of shakes out in the coming weeks and months.
It's interesting because I agree with everything that you just said. And I think one of the biggest things that the average person doesn't understand, when you walk into Ohio Stadium and you see these big banners and it has a Chris Spielman, Eddie George, Troy Smith. I mean, how long do you get to use these guys' likeliness for free, and you're letting your advertising partners use them? Because underneath them you see a Hyundai, whatever the case may be for the advertisement. So that brand is associating themselves with that player. The players don't get any money or anything from that, and their career's over. They've either gotten their college education or they've moved on. Sure, they made millions in the NFL and everything, but still, I mean, if you worked at a job and they did that to you, it wouldn't be right. It's just, I don't know. I just think it's common sense. Unless there's something in some kind of paperwork as far as the scholarship that they retain your rights as long as, your pictures were in an Ohio State uniform or something.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out, but it could have some severe ramifications for not just Ohio State but college football in general.
But
the idea of players getting some kind of financial reward for their likeness. I mean, we'll see how it all turns out.
Right, and that's the thing, is that Spielman's not going after Ohio State to go after Ohio State, because if he wins any money, he's giving it right back to the university anyways.
Yes, that's correct.
It's about standing up for the other people. So, I mean, he's being a leader in the situation.
I agree. Some of the other things that I thought were extremely interesting with regards to Big Ten Media Days, we already talked about Jim Harbaugh, but new Indiana head coach Tom Allen, who was the defensive coordinator, was promoted after Kevin Wilson was forced out at the end of last year. Tom Allen, he's still staying in his role as defensive coordinator, even though he's the head coach. So it's kind of almost like what Pete Carroll did all those years at USC. But I thought was very, very classy. He thanked Kevin Wilson for giving him the opportunity to become the defensive coordinator at Indiana, and for providing and leaving a solid foundation for Indiana football to be built upon. But he said, this game against Ohio State on August 31st is the biggest home opener in the history of Indiana football. Later on, when asked by the panel on BTN Live, like Jerry DiNardo and I'm trying to think, some of the other people that were on the panel, he kind of recognized the fact that, all right, there needs to be some kind of a balance that the coaching staff has. Like they're talking about how important this game is, but it's only one game out of 12, and that they've never, Tom Allen quickly alluded to the fact that Indiana has never played a higher ranked opponent in the opener, but they need to come up with a proper balancing act, because if they put too much stock and emphasis on that first game and Ohio State comes out and shellacks Indiana, as I expect them to do, I think Kevin Wilson is going to, I think he's going to, do and say all the right things, but I think deep down inside, I think he wants to leave no doubt as to the huge mistake that Indiana made by terminating his employment. If the Indiana coaching staff has built up this to be the end-all be-all, and they get waxed by 40, 50 points, that could completely send their entire season crashing down before it even really got going.
Yeah, it's, as we get closer to that, that's going to be a lot of stuff in order to dissect and, discuss. because like when I